Welcome back to Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion. This is us going through episode 11 this time around. And so...
Have you guys seen this art? This is great.
You took a picture in the first video. And it's
right.
up there.
Did you put it up there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to show it to him again. This is episode 11, guys. Look at this.
If you're taking pictures of your notes or anything, you have to send them to me if you want them in the video. Otherwise...
I'm not taking pictures of anything. Have you seen this? Guys, look at this.
That's not going to come out clearly at all.
I know. That's why I'm showing them.
Well, they won't be able to look at it very clearly. It's going to just be blurred pixels,
all right,
basically.
maybe this page will be better.
Like, if you want them to see it, take a picture and send it to me.
I'm just kidding. It's fine.
All right.
Episode 10.
I've done this before. When I've done this before, it turned out poorly.
I'm making a joke. All right. I'm funny.
I'm not. All right, that's staying down there.
Yeah. I think they know what show we're watching. It's episode 11. Okay. Anyway, episode 10. There were 20 wheels that I counted. Important things first.
Yeah.
I estimated there were 10 of them. Now, okay, you're gonna probably cut this out, but I know you guys don't like the wheel counting, but come on. It's obnoxious. It's fun. Like, live your best life. I'm living mine. I almost touched my shirt where the mic is.
Yeah, don't do that.
I didn't. I'm just telling you. But really, episode 10, we saw that Zero has a great neck scarf and a great cape. We'll get to real things in a second. Let's be superficial.
Oh, these are the realest things.
These are real, recognize real. Bless. Rest in peace. I mentioned that the assertion, I had this revelation that the assertion of your will over another's is downright sadistic. Which is, man, that gets into a whole ethical conversation that I'd love to have at a different time because we're just rehashing episode 11.
Yeah.
So, 11 support the Black Knights. Derp, derp, derp. TheBlackKnights.com. Here's my video application and here's information about my life. Why don't you send me a postcard to my house to let them know that this is where I live, and I'm looking to join the terrorist group, the Black Knights.
And just
what's that about?
And of course, obviously, you know, the government's going to be watching the website and intercepting your data. And like, oh, this person wants to join this terrorist group.
Yeah, no big deal.
Well, in serious note, I am really curious what the heck is going on and how he does that and what he's actually doing, because
the dark web,
Tor, and other things.
Right.
Right. So Zero doesn't really let anyone in on his plan. We avalanche to the mountain.
Someone wants to take over because they know better than he does, and he's like, great. The only way to take it from me is you got to kill me. And they're like, I don't want any blood on my hands. We have an emotional relationship. And then he's like, great. Then fall in line. Like, nut up or shut up.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
That's what he told the guy.
Yeah, basically. And Jeremiah bought it with a giant microwave hand. Cooked his brain a little bit and got the
red laser weapon.
He had one of those fancy blood mustaches.
Blood stashes?
Yeah, going.
I think that's big over in Russia. You take the blood stash. You lick it. It is delicious for the winter. It keeps you alive.
Yeah, so they got a bunch of stuff, and they wiped out half of the Britannian force, or at least maybe not half, but maybe more than half.
Enough of it.
They wiped out the main front of their force with the avalanche, and we're mid-operation. So how about we just jump in and see how the operation goes?
You know my favorite type of exercise?
What's that?
Jumping to conclusions.
Predictions.
Cornelia will become Cordelia. Just put the show on. I really am funny though. It's like if you've ever seen Game of Thrones where the guy's like, if you have to tell people you're king,
you're not king.
You're not king. It's different with humor though. I am funny. Because I believe I'm funny, and as a man believeth, so he is. Anyway, put the show on.
Now let's draw this awkwardness out. Battle for Narita.
What are our losses?
I've only got signal from 20% of our forces.
20%? Our command structure can't sustain this.
80% of their force was wiped out.
Can't raise General Alex. It looks like the 2nd Division's been wiped out.
Is the Viceroy safe? Yes, she was outside the mud flow, but the units guarding her flank are lost. That means she's totally isolated. What the hell are those purebloods doing?
That was the most American-looking guy on the right side who said that line.
Lord Q!
All right, crew and Mark II, move to
Rip Q.
We'll break through the rest of their line and take Cornelia.
Get them!
That's right, move swiftly. If you survive this battle, you can call yourself a true warrior.
Send air cover.
No, wait! Something's approaching the Viceroy from behind!
All units, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, deploy the custom boot eyes.
Gives a new term for cruise control.
Autopilot.
What?
Protect Her Highness!
Surround them.
So it's not an NVS, but it's almost like a heated chainsaw sword.
Me of 7 years ago.
But it's different now. This time we have nightmares as well.
This reminds me of 7 years ago, but it's different now.
Very well. I know a way to turn this around. Guilford!
Yes!
After you drive them back, meet me over at point 9.
Maybe we should get Colin over here.
No! If we break formation now, our plan is ruined!
Looks like the JLF.
Someone else understands my intent? How excellent.
I've heard Area 11 has a formidable commander. Their Shining Knight. Is this him? Toto? Fine. Let him try me!
Their main base is right in front of us, and if we're hit from behind, we'll be wiped out!
You fool! If Princess Cornelia is taken by these 11s, this entire battle is lost!
Yes, sir!
Sub-Viceroy Euphemia, you must act now to prevent a...
I like Travis Willingham. The voice of Dalton.
Is that this guy?
No, it's the voice of Dalton with the scar in his face. Also does Roy Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist.
The scar lets me know that he's a warrior and he's been through battles. Oh my gosh, that icon. It's the queen!
Or king.
Well, hello there. The A6 crew reporting for duty.
The X in the top right corner is really weird shaped.
Close.
But all of this waiting around is
His
boring.
eye.
Fisheye lens.
I beseech you, please order us into the battle.
How transparent. You just won the glory of rescuing the Viceroy.
Our whole army is out there. You think one unit is going to change things with an 11 pilot?
Right. But what's the harm in trying? Since it's just one unit, it won't look bad for you if we lose, right?
Chose a bad time to look down. Like you chose the worst time to look down in that scene.
I don't know this show, so I still need to make this note.
Yes, sir. This is his projected course.
The princess was trying to trap Toto. Now there's a nightmare waiting for her. Princess Cornelia!
I got the message, Guilford.
Cornelia!
Why was that the worst time to look down? What did I miss?
Oh, the Yuffie and Suzaku's eyes are like locked on each other, and he mouthed her names like Yuffie, please. And then she just, there's like a moment there.
Oh. Okay.
It's an important character moment.
It's fine. Also, I don't know how I'm supposed to read lips in animation.
Well, there was a internal monologue for a moment that said, "Oh, Yuffie, what?" So it was all taken care of. So it's fine.
This one. If I take this one out, I'm free and clear. Coward! Attacking from behind! Guilford, my knight. You and Dalton protect Yuffie.
Your Highness!
I won't surrender. As an Imperial princess, I'll fight to the last!
Princess Cornelia!
Mark II, destroy that unit immediately! It's interfered with us enough!
Right!
Oh, I was like, doesn't she have no arms?
Yeah, she lost her arms in the fight.
Retreat!
This has become a war of attrition! Retreat!
But people aren't just pieces in a chess game. Zero wouldn't think like that. If he did, he'd end up using us as pawns too. I don't believe he'd do that. His rage is real. He hates Britannia as much as we do. And I think a person who knows rage also knows sorrow.
Special Corps head trailer. Found Zero. Going in for capture. Oh, that's... Is it the girl from the capsule in Shinjuku?
It's a problem if you die. It'll be indirect contact, but it's worth a try.
Father, you're dead.
Hey, are you using Geass on him?
I'm just feeding him some shock images. I can't tell what he's seeing, though.
I can't keep owing you favors.
No, not now!
What? This is different. That's...
Stop it! Stay out of my mind! Stop it! Why now?
This girl, she can't be human. She recovers from wounds in ways that are beyond normal. She was shot in the head in Shinjuku, and yet... What?
You finally called me by my real name.
I removed the shrapnel and cleaned the wound.
That wasn't necessary,
Apparently not.
so there was no point in protecting me at all. Your pride always gets in the way at the most ridiculous moments.
But then I learned something from it. That's your name, isn't it?
You have a bad habit of eavesdropping.
It's a lot more human than C2.
Oh, that's a joke. As if I want to be more human. After all, I've forgotten everything. Every single thing. So what's the use of it? A name? But why?
It's a good time to say this. Thank you.
No one's ever thanked me before. Well then, can you show your appreciation? Say it again, like you did before.
Oh, you mean the name?
Just this once, with tenderness, like you treasure it in your heart.
Looks like our ride's here.
Zero, are you okay? The others went on ahead and... who's that?
Oh, you needn't worry. She's a very important friend. C2. I don't know why snow is white, but I still think snow is beautiful. I don't hate it.
I see.
Man, another episode where nothing happened.
Yeah, that I like.
Got him.
I really like this episode a lot, personally.
Can we just start off with something super controversial?
What?
That stupid line, do you know why snow is not white? Or do you know why snow's white? Because I forgot what color it was.
So
Episode 10.
I understand.
Episode 11. I don't know why snow's white.
So,
but I like it. It's beautiful.
It's clear that you are just not sophisticated enough to understand the levels of meta poetry that have happened here.
You know, clearly I'm not.
Hold on.
Elaborate for me.
Hold on. How do I do it? Let's do it this way.
You're so much better than I am. Wow.
So, let's come back to that because we can wrap all of this in a nice little thing with the bow on top. So let's set that aside and come back to that.
Do you want to start
later.
from the top then?
Yeah, let's start at the top. Rip General Alex and Rip Kuehl. They're dead.
Our
Apparently
command structure can't sustain this.
Can't sustain losing 80% of your forces.
Okay, then your command structure is off somehow because it should be able to always sustain. Like, I understand you lost 80% and that's hard. However, if your structure, and it could be a translation issue, if your structure can't sustain the losses, in my understanding of sustain meaning that you cease to function.
Yeah.
And it's, which is why I think it might be a translation issue. I'm not sure. But if you cease to function at any capacity because you've lost 80%, it means that your machine doesn't work right.
So, I mean, while I agree with the point you're making, it is one of the things I would say to counter that, though, is like, say, using the US military for an example. Like, in a textbook case, I might have the exact numbers wrong, but in a textbook case, this is a general sense that we would not engage in a conflict unless we had like 3-to-1 in our numbers, sort of thing. Like that, like the U.S. military will generally not engage in a. I mean, granted, we haven't been in that type of war in a while, but like they would not engage in a conflict or confrontation unless they had 3 times the number of troops. I mean, engage willingly.
Does that count for nukes too? Sorry, world politics. We'll come back to it. Keep going.
Anyway, so like, I mean, the whole thing about command structure and numbers, like, yeah, I get, like, if it breaks down at any point, that means that there's something wrong.
Right, it could just be a bad line.
Like, I think it's probably too much weight on a line there for one case, but, like...
I understand, like, if you lose 80%, yes, you should retreat.
Yeah.
But the phrasing of our command structure, so this...
Okay, anyway. A little bit of a weird line, but yeah, okay. We had a bit of a... Camera
malfunction.
Camera ran out of disk space.
Okay, so there's this white memes, something or other on Instagram, and they came out with a new question thing a couple days ago where you can like send your friend a question, and you said we ran out of disk space, and I heard we ran out of space, so I started laughing.
Well, I mean, I won't argue.
Huge.
I won't.
Huge. Are you huge? What do the reviews say? Do you have a Yelp for that thing? You're not putting this in.
You kidding? Of course it is.
Episode 11. The things that we talked about that we missed were Cornelia is like, you're a coward because you came in from behind. And
speaking of
this is my fault also. All the bad things get credited to me.
You left it wide open. And I just went in there.
This isn't prison.
I have a drinking problem. But yeah, so
episode 11, most lively episode to date.
So yeah, some hypocrisy because Lelouch is like, oh, and your tactics have shown no sign of doing that thing.
It's only cowardice if you do it, but not if I do it.
Right, because the nobles are better than everyone.
And then, the big thing we did miss, and I can't recreate it, but this idea of knowing rage versus knowing sorrow, I don't think those emotions are attached. You asked me, you've been getting on a philosophical kick lately, and I was like, well, I'm hungry for it. I haven't had it in a while. And so, what do you guys think? Is rage attached to sorrow in every case? Because I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't think that they are. And I'd have to sit and think for a while.
He's a rager.
I'd have to sit and think for a while about like what that says about Ogi and his view on life and stuff to know what that would mean to him to have those kind of be connected. Because I mean,
he's making conjectures about Zero,
right?
Like,
which are actually I mean, maybe there's some truth in it.
He won't put us into harm's way because if you have rage, you also have known sorrow, and it's like, well, that's not necessarily true.
Lelouch does know sorrow, that is for sure, but
philosophically speaking, I don't know if you can have, if you have to have one to have the other.
I mean, if we were to take that if we take that as a blanket truth, it does put it does put Lelouch in an interesting...
Not the only one, YouTube. It does put Lelouch... Not the only one.
It does put Lelouch in this interesting spot because we've seen him basically think of all of them as pawns.
Like Lelouch.
We have seen Lelouch treat all of his subordinates basically as pawns in a chess game. I mean, even just like directly of him holding chess pieces in an episode before when he's
you can't prove that. Insert scene.
And so like so I'm wondering like what level then would there be of that, of him like doing that and being aware of it and being tortured by it versus just like having no cares at all about it, and like where's that sit then?
I'm gonna pour some gasoline on this fire. Well, Ogi's Jewish, so Jews are very compassionate people. Ask me how I know. I don't have my necklace on.
Anyways, so that's like if we were to take that as just like a blanket truth, which I think is a bit, there's definitely an argument to be made that that's not the case, I think, because...
Sure.
I mean, but though you had made a point in an earlier episode to talk about like the differences of love and infatuation and how hate and like lust or infatuation and hate are kind of like tied together. So I mean, there's a bit of
spectrum and quadrant. Like if you, we won't talk about it again.
Well, but so like somebody like sorrow and pain can be something that fuels hate. So I mean, there is that sort of thing. So there,
you can shift over into another quadrant that also promotes rage, but you can also just rage, and you can also just sorrow. Like they don't have to be tied for one to have the other, which is what it sounded like he was saying. Now again, YouTube, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what he said. He's like, he won't use us as pawns because the rage that he has means that he has to have gone through sorrow. I'm paraphrasing. Please don't think
so
that I'm
therefore
quoting.
He would have the empathy to not
put us as pawns.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are my thoughts. Correct me if I'm wrong, YouTube. Those are my thoughts. You'll do it anyway, even if I don't invite you to do it. So do it. Invitation. Come at me. That's what they said last episode. Different episode. You just want to get the glory of saving her.
Oh yeah, it's like wow.
Right, let's talk about this for a second.
This shows you where that guy's brain's at.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's not like we lost 80% of our army and she's in trouble. You're right. He's probably just doing this for glory's sake.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
You're an idiot. You have no like that person just screams incompetent because he shows no military prowess at all because he's just an NPC basically.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is like the entire operations command was being handled by Cornelia anyway. He was basically babysitting Euphemia. Was basically what his whole job was.
He wasn't even babysitting. He was literally just.
Like she would ask questions and one of the three would answer. You know, she'd have I mean, you saw the previous episode. They were like, "Why is she here?" It's like she's being unusually stubborn about wanting to be here.
So, what's this thing about 7 years ago with the holy swords? Like, okay.
Well, I mean, obviously the war was 7 years ago, and We obviously
Oh, I've forgotten completely about that because it's been. Well, here's the thing. Like, we watch this once a week.
Right.
And we've been doing this
or every
for,
other week, but yeah.
Right. It's been
irregularly.
3 months of doing this project almost. Yeah. And so, like, the details that we learned at the beginning.
They're going to remain relevant all the way to the end.
Well, right. Because that's how plot works. Okay, forget you. It's done. Whatever. Doesn't care. It doesn't matter. We'll switch to something else. Some lines. I want to take some one-liners from this show, like filling out in all the right places.
Right.
And then this one, you're a picky girl.
Oh.
When he's like saving her at the end. It's like, what? Who wrote these lines? Like some of these, and it could be just culture has shaded me to think of everything having a sexual bent. However, I don't normally catch those things, and people are like, you don't get the joke? It's like when I play Cards Against Humanity, I don't know what any of those things mean because I just don't, my mind isn't full of those things. It's just not how I live my life. But, so it's like, you're a picky girl. What?
Now, that particular scene,
anyway,
I don't have it fresh in my mind, but when I first watched the show, and most of the times that I've rewatched it, had been in the original. It was the original Japanese version. No, that was intended to be a very intimate scene between the two of them. And I do think the original, well, what I saw, the subtitles that I saw with the original Japanese audio, I felt communicated the intimacy much better than the dub did, but you know, I think it was okay.
Okay,
the dub
so
was
it's supposed to be that way.
No, that's supposed to be, that's a very intimate moment between the two of them right there. Because well, this ties into this was the whole thing about when we mentioned snow in the last episode, because the snow being white. Like, this is
I'm missing something, clearly.
Well, this is a very, this is not something that I knew the first time I watched it, okay? So, for me, I forgive you for not picking this up.
I didn't ask for forgiveness.
Well, I'm forgiving you anyway for not picking this up.
We'll talk about that in a philosophical episode.
But, so, at the beginning, when she says, why do you know why snow is white? It's because I forgot, like, she is the snow, and the white is her name, because they were just talking about names, and Lelouch being still called Lelouch despite changing his last name, and the new identity can't let go, and her going the opposite. And it's like, it's not, and her kind of saying in a way, it's like, it's not necessarily that I have it's not that I am going the opposite way and choosing necessarily, it's that I've forgotten what it means to be human. Snow is white because it doesn't know what color it is. I don't know what it is to be human anymore. So there's that tied into there and some other things that I don't really know how to articulate. And then at the end, they're in that cave, like, the Lelouch learns what C2's real name is, but us as the audience, we don't get to hear it.
Right. That's fine.
They've censored out what her name is. Only Lelouch and C2 are the only ones that know what her real name is there. And so, like, then when they reverse that and say, it's like, I don't know why snow is white, but I still think snow is beautiful. It's kind of like an accepting of her for being her, despite her being her.
Right.
And at the now this is my interpretation though. The very end there, after Callan comes in and all of that, and you hear there are 2 drops at the end instead of just the one for the name. To me, I feel like that is symbolically represents the fact that both of them know the other person in a more intimate way. They both know a secret. They both know secrets about the other person now. And so it's like they're a bit of loose threads, but they come together into something that means something.
Sure. All of that symbolism entirely lost on me.
I would understand that.
No build up, like, not that a story can't just drop a piece of something in.
That's one of the reasons why we're watching them in the chunks that we're watching them in a way, or at least try to, so it's easier to point at these, so they're still fresh in our minds.
Right. The thing is, though, if you're gonna drop, and this gets into the whole, like, our schedule for being able to watch this show, because we both have lives, we have jobs, we have things we have to do, so we only get to watch this every week or every other week. So it's like we can't. pair
Well,
everything together.
that's whatever you're going to say, buffering that. The show was originally made on a weekly broadcast schedule, so that's still, whatever you're going to say, buffering in that, I think that's still probably a valid thing to say without that buffer.
That's fair.
Because the show was
fair.
originally a weekly broadcast thing.
That's fair. I don't enjoy, downright don't like, when stories drop something on you that's out of the blue, that feels out of context, that involves this big symbol. Because when you explain it, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And kind of looking back, like, I mean, I guess I could see them kind of like flirting or coming together romantically or like having these moments.
It's not safe to be together.
And climbs on the bed.
Climbs on the bed.
Yeah. So like, and I think it's a translation issue. Because I've noticed, like, I've even commented on it. It's like what I'm seeing versus what I'm hearing makes it sound like this is supposed to be more than the English is covering. And so it's possible. Here's the thing, YouTube. Y'all love this show. I've never seen this before. I'm willing to just believe that I'm dense on this subject because of the symbolism, because I've never seen the show before. But I'm like noticing them, like picking things out and saying, hey, this seems weird and out of context. Am I missing something? Or this seems weird, but I missed it. I'm like, what the hell is this thing about snow?
No, I think my initial reaction was fairly similar when I'd first seen it. Was just like, what the hell is this thing about snow? So like, no, I get that because
there's no bridge. Anyway, so
it's something that I feel like is only something that I guess is easy to point to in the context of looking at the mini arcs throughout the whole show and the bigger arcs and seeing how,
sure.
Like this story of the Battle of Narita, which was from last episode, Gurren dances in this one, the Battle of Narita. It's the battle itself is bookended by these two things, and I know. So this gets into a thing where I don't know if when I want to bring this sort of thing up or how much in depth of it I want to go into. But I feel like me mentioning it and having you kind of maybe mentally thinking about it, it wouldn't be a bad thing, even if I don't go into specifics about it. But like,
there is according.
Anyway, but like, there's a story structure in a way. And while this show doesn't strictly adhere to this, in fact, it actually doesn't really in a lot of ways, but in a lot of other ways it does. But I know before we talked about chiastic structure and chiasmas and things that
I thought you would bring this up.
Where you have different tiers where like story point A is the beginning and then story point A again is at the end and so forth, and the middle being another story point. And so like you could say these two episodes are kind of have a bit of that book ending of a similar theme surrounding something. And there are certainly aspects both across the season that sort of have this sort of structure of, you know, an episode in the beginning has themes that an episode towards the end mirrors, and then the middle episodes sort of like revolve around it, and both individual in seasons as well as the two seasons together. So there's a little bit of that going on. And of course, that's not something that is like that's not something you pick up on watching it, especially not something you pick, especially something watching it the first time. But it's something that's definitely there and was thought through to have it. It's also one of those things where it's like it's definitely a story structure that can sometimes make things feel awkward and forced at times, for sure.
Translation issues don't help.
And I mean this isn't a bad dub. I mean, the cast for one thing is definitely a lot of
there are just weird anomalies, weird moments.
Right. Or like it was like the Black Knights. Who are these warriors? And it's just like that's a weird way to say that. Like it grammatically is a perfect sentence. It's just weird because nobody talks that way really. But
I'll only say this once. Thank you. Say it again. Thank you. Say my name. Yeah.
Water drop.
Interesting. Pride teaches him something. Does it though? Future episodes will tell.
Now,
I don't think it did.
I don't disagree that he definitely has a bit of a pride issue, but it is something that you are constant. Well, I'm saying this because out of Lelouch's character flaws, it has been the one that you have pointed at almost exclusively. So I'm curious to know, as I mean, granted, this is all you've seen of the show, but like as we go forward, I'm curious what other flaws there might be to him.
I have a question that we won't talk about the answer for. Is pride and arrogance the same thing?
No. That's my answer.
Okay. Anyway, I have thoughts on that too, but we'll go to the next thing. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Japanese Federation League. Helping them out, unbeknownst to helping them out. Bringing it home with them holy swords.
The 4 holy swords.
So I held the 4 up while saying holy swords. Anyway, I just like Sun Tzu, so I like to think about the enemy of my enemy is my friend. C2, shock images. Her being vulnerable. She can't let him die. And her name. So, interestingly enough, she has an additional power that can go through metal. She did say that the transaction...
Indirect contact.
Indirect. So that's interesting. Why? She also said she's not allowed to interfere.
Where was that? I'm sorry.
Similar spot. She's like, this is... Oh, no, she was referring to indirect contact. Never mind, ignore me.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, she heard that.
She didn't want Lelouch interfering. She wanted Lelouch to escape, but...
Well, the way that I heard it originally was, this is indirect contact of like, oh, she's supposed to not interfere for some reason. Like she's supposed to be removed from it.
Okay.
And it just clicked me as I was talking.
Like,
she's referring to the indirect contact of putting her hand on the neck.
She's not touching Suzaku's face. She's touching the leg of a giant robot that he's touching. That he's like 6 meters away from or something.
Like this. Put your hand on the other side of that.
Indirect contact. But yeah, so with though back a tiny bit, when Suzaku and Colin were fighting, that kind of nobody won. There was a bit of a tie between those two, in a way. So, and on the note of ties, the Battle of Narita, nobody walked away the winner in that scenario.
Right. Which I liked because it adds a depth to, like, sometimes everyone loses.
Yeah, it was a 3-way no-win scenario right there.
Although I didn't feel like the Japanese Federation League had a conclusive loss.
Yeah.
They kind of like left that string hanging.
Right. They had a much more, like, they had to relocate. I was like, they can't keep that being their base, obviously. So they all need to.
Could. They'll never stay in the same place. Guys, just rebuild the wall. It's fine.
And obviously, like, in the sense of what the Britannians' objective was to destroy the JLF. They obviously failed that. The Black Knights, their goal was to capture Cornelia. They obviously failed there, but I mean, they were celebrating at the end. So, like, they, out of everybody having lost, they had the softest loss. Right.
There were 21 wheel counts.
21 instances of wheels.
21 of them. Episode 11.
Episode 11. Yeah.
Guys, these are getting more lively. I hope that you are enjoying them. I'm not reading every feedback because Chris told me that there's spoilers in them sometimes, so I just don't read all of them.
If there's not spoilers, I'll usually send them his way. So by all means, share your thoughts and feedback.
Feel free to talk about spoilers too, because I only check them when Christopher tells me that I can. Because I mean, I do want to experience it.
Yeah. And
organically. So.
And I'm trying
feel free to say whatever you need to say. He's monitoring. Monitoring?
Yeah.
Moderating.
Yeah.
That's the word.
And I'm trying to find that right balance of, like, when we're talking about structure and stuff like that, I'm trying to find what the right balance of saying things and not saying things is. Because I don't want to necessarily, like, pervert the experience and distort it into something else, and still want to get know what your genuine first instincts are on it all.
Yeah. Let me talk first about my opinions on the instance of knowing everything that I've learned so far and some things that I've forgotten.
But on the point of that, we are hitting that midpoint of this season. I'm kind of...
How long have we been recording?
I'm kind of excited to start, I guess, seeing everything tie together and kind of talk about a lot more of that with you. So,
because you're getting excited, I quit.